Well, hello there, Queen Bees. Hello, my gorgeous, beautiful, wonderful Queen Bees. It is your girl Amanda, the buzz artist, and welcome back to my channel. Today is a special day, Queen Bees, because we are reviewing another Arteza product. Yay! I've been doing so many Arteza reviews, and it's been kind of filling my life up with so much joy, because I'm just getting so many free art supplies from Arteza, and I cannot say no to free art shit. So this time, Arteza decided to send me their collection of Everblend Markers. These are the rivals to the Copic markers, and I've heard so many interesting things about these markers that I simply had to check it out and give it my good old-fashioned review. And apparently these markers can blend, layer, and shade just as well as a Copic marker. Arteza did send me these markers for free in exchange for my honest review. And my Queen Bees, I am here to deliver the good, the bad, and the ugly news of these Everblend markers. I just love my job. Will these Copic contenders leave a mark on my heart? Let's go ahead and find out. Yeah. So let's head over to the art desk and take a deep dive into what's inside of this case and all of those fun little goodies. See you there. I'm actually really super stoked to try this out because I haven't really experimented with markers and like Copic markers very much, so this will be a really fun experiment. So let's just go ahead and take the wrapping off. Oh, it looks like it comes with its own like handle here, and then also it has its shoulder carrier. It seems to attach using these clip hooks. We have all the markers that offer here in the kit, and it seems like we have a lot because we got 60. Oh my gosh, okay. I'm actually really excited to try this out. Let's just go right on ahead and start opening this guy. Now, Queen Bees, you probably know the drill with all my reviews, but in case you are new here, here's how it's gonna go down. I'm going to be looking at these markers against a set list of criteria. 1, organization and selection, color selection and pigments, ease of use, perform a swatch test and then test the markers out against their marker body, and finally functionality and usability, where we're going to be filling in an actual drawing with these markers and put them to the test. Okay. I don't know what that was. Let's get to it. First things first, we're going to take a look at organization and color selection. My Queen Bees, when this puppy came out of its package and I beheld its complete glory, I could not help myself. Oh my god. Does this come down? This comes down to, oh my god, this case. Oh my god, and it folds like a book. Are you kidding me? The ultimate form of organization here. Like, look at this. And then I'm sure these are for more markers. It's such a cool design, it's portable, and I can bring these markers anywhere with me and not having to worry about losing these markers because they're so secure inside their package. I mean, it's the whole deal, I'm telling you. Just take a look at one of the markers here. Got the Arteza brand on it. This looks like it's the broad tip, but this is the more fine line tip. Oh, and it definitely has the same kind of like ergonomic feel as a typical Copic marker. No, so far we're A for effort here. Awesome. They label everything on the top on both sides as well, so you can tell what color you're dealing with. Yeah, I have to say I'm a huge fan of this case. I really like how they organize it. You got the Velcro on the sides here, everything all in one tidy place. Like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. Back pocket as well to store, you know, any of your notebooks or anything like that if you're carrying around on the go. Definitely a 5 out of 5. Like, holy crap, I am in absolute love with this. Now moving on to criteria number 2, colors. Now pretty much when I opened up the Everblend marker case, I was just hit in the face with so many colors. This Everblend marker set contains 60 individual markers, 59 of which are actual marker colors, and one of which is a blending marker, which helps get you even better blend between your colors. Each of these markers are alcohol-based, highly pigmented, are quick drying and non-toxic. There's really not much of a smell that comes out of using these, which I'm actually pretty happy about as opposed to the paint markers that I've used from Arteza. And the really cool part about these being alcohol-based is how I can layer and shade and blend colors on top of colors together to create either new colors or very interesting gradients. Now the one negative thing I've noticed with these markers as I was testing them is that it did make the paper pill a little bit. I was using multimedia paper and I was really going ham on layers, but if you don't want that to happen to you, you can either move on to like a canvas paper so you prevent that pilling action, or just limit the amount of strokes that you're using and be a bit more intentional with your strokes. strokes. Now, Arteza markers have two types of tips on either end. One is a broad tip, kind of like you see right here, and it is a hard nib. And then it has a fine tip as well, which is also a hard nib. Unlike its Copic brothers, these are not brush tips. I actually got a hold of an Arteza representative on Instagram, and they informed me that they do have plans to include a brush nib for their markers in the near future. So at the time of this recording, I'm imagining that it's going to be released in about a month or two. So if you've been on the fence and you really like brush tips, just hold on a little longer and Arteza will be supplying brush tip nibs. Once I kind of got the hang of these markers, I decided to go ahead and do a swatch test. I always recommend every artist who gets a new sort of medium to try it out and make a swatch test and test the little swatch that they get on a piece of paper and actually compare it to the label of the medium that they are using, just so they can get an idea of what color they're actually getting. So I grabbed a piece of paper, grabbed my markers, and went to town. And it's voiceover Amanda speaking. In terms of the swatch test, most of the colors compared to their swatch pretty much matched, with the exception of a few that came out either a little lighter or a tad darker, and I think that just had to do with the fact that I made multiple layers of that color, therefore making it a tad darker. So I would say in terms of a swatch test and how all this kind of shakes out, it passes, so I would give this a 4 out of 5. Now that we've gotten all of that stuff out of the way, I'm sure you are just biting at the bit to start doing some coloring. So what I have here is a sketch that I have been working on from a previous video, you may remember this, and now I just decided to take those markers and just start coloring it in. And let's go back to color for a second. There are so many pigments, so much great variety of colors. Now the one thing I did notice, and you'll see this later on in the video when I'm actually coloring, there isn't that much choice or variety when it comes to skin tones and neutral gray tones in this kit. Now, I got a hold of Arteza once again and asked them questions about whether these will become available or not, and they did confirm with me that they are going to be releasing themed packs like skin tones and gray tones very soon. So it sounds like you'll be able to get the case itself with all of the variety of colors, and you can also get packs of neutral skin tones or neutral gray tones to go ahead and augment onto your marker art collection. Colors that you are getting for your skin tones are the colors that are provided. It's pretty limited, not much you can do, and them being alcohol markers, you can mix them up a little bit. You can blend them together a little bit to get various types of skin tones, but you don't have much variety there. But there's so many other things you can do with these colors for a really good budget. So when it comes to color selection, I would give them a 4 out of 5. And now criteria number 3 is ease of use. You know me on this channel, I've dealt with a ton of acrylic paints. That's the medium that I'm very familiar with, so I never really dealt with alcohol markers before. This was a whole new ball of wax for me. So there was going to be a little bit of a learning curve on my behalf to learn all this stuff. So needless to say, I was a little nervous trying out these markers for the first time because I had literally little to no idea what I was doing. However, as I started to test some of the markers out and put them on paper, I really started getting the hang of it, and I developed some tips along the way. One, if you wanted to create a nice shade, lay down the lightest color first and then build with darker colors after that. If you want to create a nice blend, choose complementary colors that are pretty close to each other on the color wheel. The alcohol and the markers will help create these nice blending capabilities for your colors, which just adds so much possibility to your art. And if you want to do different color variants, like if you want to tone down a color or make another color that's actually not in the marker set, you can layer colors. This is what sets alcohol markers apart from any typical run-of-the-mill Crayola markers. You can layer colors, and those colors will work with each other to create a new color. I actually made a unique hair color for her by combining 4 different colors from markers. It was really cool to watch. So when it comes to usability and figuring out what works, what doesn't work, I would definitely give these a 5 out of 5. And voiceover Amanda back at ya. So the last criteria that I went and took a look at was functionality and application. And this all actually just came from me playing around with the markers while laying it down on this very drawing here. Let me just say a couple of things. So I was dealing with multimedia paper, and for some reason I felt that multimedia paper maybe had a bit more of an absorbency to it. So when I was laying down some of the marker colors like her skin tones, I felt that the paper was drinking up
up a lot of the ink. So I was at some point just taking breaks in between filling in some parts of her face with the skin tones because I was starting to run out of ink in those. So I kind of took a break every now and then. But for the most part, I really enjoyed how these markers blended with one another and how I was able to take not just one color but multiple colors and blend them and shade them and make these wonderful, cool looking skin tones, especially on this drawing. I was really impressed with how quickly I was able to master this. So in terms of just using this stuff and playing around with it and really just getting the hang of it, I'd give it a 5 out of 5, hands down.
Now, here are just a few extra things to note that I felt like I wanted to add in this review. One, if you happen to run out of a marker color in the set,
you can buy a single color replacement pack of 4. Hooray!
And I also went and asked them about my all-time favorite topic I have with this company, which is the subject of light fastness, the ability of a color to fade over time when exposed to sunlight. There was no indication on either the case or the marker body of what the permanence rating of these markers are. And according to Arteza, they just replied saying, at this time, they do not have a light fast rating on the markers, but they are working on it. So there's that. So after all was said and done, having looked at everything and assessed it all, I would say that these Everblend markers are really fun and a great alternative to Copic markers, especially if you are on a budget. To buy 60 Copic markers at $10 a piece, you're looking at about a $600 investment for markers. If you were to go with Arteza's Everblend marker, you are paying significantly less. We're gonna take a look at the price tag really quick. Probably around the order of like $45 to $70 depending on where you're getting it from. So that's the difference between $600 to, say, at most a $100 product for 60 markers. All in all, who are these paints for? I would say pretty much everybody. You can combine these with acrylics, which is really cool too, and the alcohol will not blend and bleed in with the acrylic and vice versa, so that's really great as well. If you want to just take your art to the next level, if you want to work with blends and work with layers and not have to use so many extra materials besides the actual marker itself, as opposed to, say, acrylic paint, for example, then these are a really great beginner choice. So if you're a beginner artist or someone that hasn't really ever played with Everblend markers or alcohol markers before, Arteza has a really great competitive package that is great for you to start with and super affordable. Are these markers worth it? Absolutely. So what did you think of this review? Would you try Arteza markers? Have you tried them before? Have you tried Copic markers before? Are you looking to expand? Were you looking to try different types of markers? Comment below, let me know. I always love to hear from you, my gorgeous, darling, beautiful, wonderful queen bees. And remember to love yourselves and always have fun with your art. I'll see you all next time. Bye! And starting next week, queen bees, we have the arrival of FOMO! Get ready for some Halloween, people.